Greetings. I am Bliskana. I'm here to present a message to humanity. We're living in a world where change has to happen. And that change needs to be moving in a direction of human development. Developing a world system that supports the whole of humanity. These are all principles of love, and these are principles that we can learn as a human species. And so it's time for our species to evolve our consciousness to higher levels of understanding and awareness and potential of that which is there available for us to glean and experience, to evolve our experience in this world. And what I'm talking about is the expansion of consciousness. Let's just dive right into this. Because this is a very important topic for everyone to understand about who they are as human beings. Now, you are absolutely an expression of the Almighty, the presence of a universal intelligence that is the life force energy that is coursing through your body. It is animating every function of your cells and your microbiome. This is the life force consciousness of a supreme being that is all-knowing, everywhere, omniscient. It represents itself as a universal consciousness. It's called universal intelligence. And this universal intelligence is in animation, the atomic level. And it is transforming its energy into every life form on this planet and beyond. Now I want you to grab the scope of the creative potential and the power that intelligence is expressing itself in the universe, in the world, as every life form in existence that we can perceive with our own consciousness. It's there for a reason. It's there to be experienced, you see. And it's there to be experienced on a grander scale. We've got to keep this one alive. So we think about what is governing the life form. Governing the life form of this thing called the human body. You have to really look at it from the environment that's around you. You have to dissect it. You have to consciously. You have to physically dissect it. You can consciously, magically just observe with your eyes and perceive with your feelings and move into a friendliness with that other life form. This is how you approach your vibration as a human being. You have to be in a state of permanence. And the best way to remain in a state of friendliness, you see, is to be in a state of love. Love is an area of conscious awareness that is very low on the scale of human awareness on this planet today. Love is out of your radar. You think love is something else, and it's not what you think it is. But what this awareness is, the behavioral changes that humanity needs to go through. And we need to stop acting like a bunch of children who are angry at each other, and because of stuff there's in such abundance that it's almost nonsensical to be able to think that the world leaders are out there fighting over land and minerals and stuff. Right? The point we need to understand is that there is an experience that every human being could experience if they just decided to express your life with love. Decide to become a human being that has the potential to express itself with love. Now, when you do that, you get to be the person who gets to experience an incredible expansion of consciousness. And with that expansion of consciousness, there's a higher understanding. And where there's a higher understanding, there's a level of knowledge that gets perceived as that which is represented in the universal intelligence, in the mind of God. You see? And based on these experiences, we can actually fathom the type of world system that we could develop in this world so that everybody could have this experience, you see. And everybody has the right to live to their highest, fullest potential. They need to first know what it is. And when you know what it is, then you can actually use your mind to expand your experience into that reality. You see, that's how it works. You have to see the highest potential. That's where you start. In an economic system, you have to understand the physical principles that will govern such a system. What will it take to have a world global system, a physical economy that represents the potential of sustaining 100 billion people on this planet. Now, we have the ability, my friend, I'm telling you, we have the ability to develop world systems to sustain a population of 100 billion. And so we need to take these concepts of our human experience and redefine them in a way that we allow ourselves to understand what it is that we're dealing with when it comes to the human being, and understand what its potential is for how we can improve the quality of life for every human being on this planet. We can do that. Absolutely, 100%. I believe it with all my heart. Now, I can prove it to you if you let me. You need acceptance from those people in high places of government in order to cooperate with these higher principles that we're dealing with here. If you want to do business with me, you've got to deal with me on my terms. Okay? Because I'm going to read you like a book. And I'm going to know where you're coming from. And I'm looking to deal with people who want to be in agreement with these higher principles of life. You have to see yourself as a human, worthy being. You are representing yourself as a diplomat to another human being in friendship, in the principle of love, peace, and harmony. You want to share ideas, intellectual exchange. Who doesn't want to communicate on that level and learn something new? So we need to come to these higher understandings very quickly, because the time is ticking and we're moving in the wrong direction, with the possibility of war and the death and destruction of things on this planet. We don't want to go in that direction. We don't. We honestly don't. We're at the brink of events to take place on this planet that could lead to a chain reaction. A chain reaction that moves humanity in a very different reality. What if all of a sudden something like that happened? And boom, 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 boom. And the world begins to suffocate under the magnitude of those explosions. We cannot have that happen on this planet. And so we need to step in and say, what can we do to mitigate this, to self-correct this outcome, this possible outcome? What can we do to step in as a human race to say we can do something about this, and we can change this thing? Because everything is just really a matter of conscious choice, really. And we can all choose a different reality. But it has to be a reality that supports life on this planet. So we have to be able to give our time and attention to only one human initiative, and that is to evolve the human conscious race on this planet. And that's how we need to approach it. And we need to approach it in this way because the quality of consciousness by the majority of the people will determine the fate of humanity. And that's my point. Because right now we're oscillating at a very low frequency on the scale. And we need to move that awareness, consciousness, that creative power of our thoughts, which are within every single one of our people on this planet. We have the conscious potential to change this, to create a new reality. To develop technology that is shared by everyone. evolve your own personal consciousness, and experience more of life. Because consciousness is constantly expanding. It's always in a state of expansion, just like the universe. And when you have a system of economy that is based on expanding its posterity, 1,000 years into the future, 100 billion people on this planet. We haven't even scratched 10 billion. And our potential is 100 billion. And we haven't even reached 10 billion. Now, that's because there's a lot of suppression in this world that keeps us unaware of how big this world actually really is, you see. Now, when you do the mathematics, one man had it right. Now, as myself, being the President of the United States of America, there would only be one other person in the world that I would want as my Vice President. Now, I get a little bit emotional every time I think about this gentleman, because he reached me in a way that opened up my eyes to see life from his perspective. And I understood that he was a man of helping humanity understand how to develop those systems that would extend human life on this planet to the tune of 100 billion people, comfortably, in harmony, in peace with each other. Think about the possibility of that. Let that be the dream that your children dream about and think about how they can contribute their life for the future generation. Because your life is so short in scope that you are spending your life in negativity, and when you can be spending it in a joyful, pleasant reality of creating a technology from your own heart, from your own mind, from your own way of thinking. You have a genius super mind inside of you that can produce the creative work that will produce the next greatest thing in the world, that will have a profound effect on humanity as a whole. All that potential is there, you see. Humanity are in a seed form of life. And in that seed form of life is the potential to grow the greatest forest on this planet. It truly is beyond your imagination. But we need to look at things from this perspective. Lyndon LaRouche Jr. had it right. You see, if we can adopt his policies as a government body, economic policy that will bring order and developing systems that will support the livelihood of the people on this planet. We don't just do it here in the US of A. We do it in China. We do it in Russia. We do it in India. We do it in Africa. Africa is in my heart. We need to develop that land. And that land has great potential for human growth. With our systems, we need to increase the population potential. And that gets done if we have an educational system that increases the potential of the human mind. That's what he was getting at. I understand. Mr. LaRouche had a classical perspective. on it. And he understood it from a principle of love. Now he understands the nature of the universe based on physical principles. And these physical principles are showing him that there are systems that can be put in place that can sustain the population growth of a species on the planet this size. That's why we need to dive deep into this man's work, his life's work, because his life's work represents a principle of love in action. His policies are representative of supporting a human society, a human civilization on this planet, to represent itself as an advanced civilization on this world. Do you want to represent your humanity as an advanced civilization on this world? That's the question you need to answer for yourself. Because I'm talking about changing the face of reality on this planet. You see, that's the dream, that's the vision. We can do this because there's the support of a universal intelligence who's backing it, who will make it so. You stay close to love, well, with God, all things are possible. And that, my friend, is a simple universal principle that has been broken down for our consciousness to accept and understand what that truly means. Liskana is a way of transforming the human race to evolve and represent itself as an advanced civilization on this planet. And we can do that. It takes a simple steps to proving the system. I'm standing here, proof of that system. I'm here, proof. Oh, I just imagine myself being the President of the United States of America, leading the world to a higher state of awareness as a world leader and as a spiritual leader. I'm stepping into my calling, my purpose in life. And I've been able to find that purpose in life through nature. Nature has a way of bringing us into these higher states of awareness so that we really can see how we can self-correct ourselves as a human race and bring ourselves into the potential of always expanding our consciousness with the universe. We have an inner universe that wants to expand with the outer universe, you see. And we harmonize both universes with the frequency of love. Love is that expansion force. It's like the water that helps expand the life of a plant. Now, can you imagine a substance of a plant that is made of earth and all the elements of it? The only one of its kind that can produce a potential that brings humanity into these higher states of awareness. Only one plant, one species of a plant. Can you guess what that is? If you said marijuana, you're incorrect, because that's not what it is. If you said cannabis, when we get a little closer. Nearly now. Nearly. Now if you said Bliscano, now, booyah, you hit it. Right on the neck. Bliscano is exactly what we need to call this. She's a goddess. We need to respect and give it the most royal of our attention, and with great respect for what it is and what it does for human consciousness. And when we do that, we get to understand how we can use it. She shares her secrets with us, you see. I'm talking about cannabis. Everybody has to understand that they don't understand what this substance is. And they just haven't a clue about how to process and use it in a proper way. So we need to come to these higher understandings very quickly so that we don't derail humanity in another direction with the cannabis industry. Because the cannabis industry represents the greatest renaissance of humanity being able to evolve its consciousness to these higher levels of awareness. And we can do this through various simple systems and technologies and understandings that we get from nature. And nature is providing the very best thing that will make sure that humanity evolves to these higher levels of consciousness. Because if we use this substance in the right way, she takes us to levels of understanding where we get to know how to work with this technology. Because we don't understand its true potential. And there's a great potential. And it's greater than anyone could ever imagine. And these are the things that we need to come into an understanding so that we can keep perfecting our way of living on this planet. This is how we do it. And Mr. LaRouche had a system that was so perfect that it would allow humanity to go through an educational system generation by generation. Generations, 25 years of a human life. And when you bring the kid up, they start off at an early age, and they're absorbing most of the thought processes between 1 and 7. From 7 onward, they're evolving their consciousness quite rapidly. They're in a state of knowingness where they feel invincible. And then if they're in a good environment, they get to excel with that understanding. And it shapes their consciousness as they grow older. But those who miss that, and they do not accept that experience, and they become in a state of unknowingness. They don't know how to perceive that correctly. And we start believing in things that we just see and hear. And we get conditioned to believe in those things because we don't know how to properly perceive them. And when we don't know how to properly perceive things, we accept those things as truths in our lives. And we defend those things in our lives, those belief systems. I'm talking about the majority of those people who are in a function of enslaving people, their minds, in religious bondage. That's exactly what it is. It's religious bondage. You don't understand that there's a greater force in the universe. They talk about it, but they never get you to become so curious about what it is that intelligent force is out there, in there, doing. They don't know how to experience that the presence that I am. You see, it's right there inside of you. The God force is inside of you. You are one and the same with the God force, you see. And that universal intelligence is emanating through your body, causing you to experience what it is that you are experiencing in life. Please understand this. Because your life doesn't have to be about struggle anymore. It doesn't have to be about, we could just move things into a state of abundance. And where abundance is everywhere for us to replenish our energies. This is why a new world system needs to come into play. Because the potential is so great. It's almost like, where do you even start? Well, I know that we need to start with Mr. Lyndon LaRouche's policies, because if I were the President of the United States of America, I would be pushing his policies. Absolutely, 100%, and then start adopting, having other nations adopt the same policies. Because we're working with a universal principle that is established based on universal physical principles of the universe, natural law. And this is where you need to perceive economy, based on the natural laws of the universe, to be able to create the greatest means with the least action. That's what he was referring to. Forgive me. I think of the man and I just get choked up, because of the love that he truly represented for humanity by developing these principles for future generations to come to experience. I want to embody this man. I want to feel his energy, because his energy was a love energy. That's what his life represented. And there's such a corrupt world out there that did everything that it can to snuff that light out. Wrongfully jailed him. He should be exonerated. He should be revered as the last great American hero. On this planet, for that matter. I erect a statue in his honor, because he's giving humanity a chance to survive. And that's the whole idea, because these are the natural laws of expansion, you see. And our potential as human beings could follow that same principle, and we would be experiencing life on a whole different level of reality and understanding. We wouldn't be wallowing in the streets as homeless people and trying to kill each other with the substances of this earth. We're taking the substances of this earth, and we're creating things out of it, you know? But we're using those things to kill each other, to shorten that life potential of another human being. And that kind of thinking, very primitive, very mature, primitive thinking is what needs to evolve in human consciousness. Because we can't go any further than where we're at today, and allow things to continue to go spinning out of control until someone gets crazy enough to push some of those buttons around. and change the fate of humanity. Forever. It will take a long time for humanity to recover. And we need to understand that we need to take things to the next level. Now, as President of the United States of America, I am the Republic. I'm coming out of the Republic. I'm coming into the practice of the Republic. As a citizen of the United States of America, we are the Republic, but we have forgotten our space in the Republic. That's because we've lost our consciousness in an educational system that has brainwashed us into thinking something different about who we are as human species. The whole thing of evolution, Darwinism, the greatest farce in reality. But the greatest lie, the greatest limitation foisted on the minds of so many millions of people. They understand themselves as beings, animals, uncontrollable. And its behavior is justified because of human nature. That is like the intelligence of a sea urchin at the bottom of the ocean who has no reality of what is taking place on the surface of the land. Their consciousness is the consciousness that is shaping the world. Our experience in the next 50 years is going to be very different, you see. You are either going to be experiencing moral suppression or slavery of your mind. And the limitations of all of that is going to be experienced as well. You see, they have technologies, well, I don't want to go, let's not paint the picture for that reality. And that's the point. I'm just trying to make you aware that there's a future that humanity is going to experience very soon. And within the next 50 years, we can change this whole thing around. And if I'm President of the United States of America, if you elect me as the President of the United States of America, I will make the greatest changes that this world has never seen. I will train my protégés to do the same thing. I will show them how to reach these higher levels of awareness, so on a scientific level we can start taking this technology and really examining what the potential is for the cannabis plant. Now, the cannabis plant is, again, we evolved the understanding and the nature of it. I have to make reference to it now because you need to understand what it is that I'm talking about. Now, Bliskana is what we call it. And Bliskana means I am. I am is in reference to God. God consciousness. This God consciousness is birthed from Bliskana. The molecules of that planet are meant to be oscillating in the physical body because we have receptors to receive that configuration of molecules. Okay? When those molecule configurations come into this body, there's a universal intelligence that recognizes that configuration at that energetic pattern. And the frequency that is oscillating from that signature is being felt by another part of your body, your consciousness. And it knows what to do with it. It just receives that energy, and like a spark plug put into an engine, just allows the engine of consciousness to come through. And it's automatic. Now, the way humanity is using bliss karma is so inappropriate. I mean, they don't understand the technology that they're working with, so therefore we need to re-educate the population on how to do it. And we do it the right way, where the body experiences the maximum potential of that substance and stays in your system longer. And you start with that, with just a small portion, 2 grains of rice, and you go into your meditation out in the backyard, and you feel the environment around you in darkness, and you just feel, because that's the principle of these exercises. You want to expand your feeling, perception. Sensory perception is the very core of your consciousness. And the consciousness is represented in the physical realm as feelings. Okay, so you've got these feelings that are coming through you that are resonating with information. And that information is coming to you via universal intelligence. There's information of knowledge everywhere in the universe, in and around you. Everything that is in existence can be qualified as the presence of God, the presence of the Almighty, who is the resonant vibration with you as you are. That is who you are. You are the presence of God. You are a frequency of God's thoughts in His mind. And when you start to make these conscious connections about your relationship to the Creator of your own life, that is animating your life, beating your heartbeat, circulating your blood, regulating your air, allowing you to be an expression of a human being. That consciousness is there, perceiving through these eyes. And there are levels of unknowingness when you first come into the world. But as you start interacting with nature, nature begins to offer its information to you, and you begin to perceive the physical principles of reality. And when you do that, you understand how we can take life principles, economic life principles, to represent a system that supports 100 billion people on this planet. That's our mission. That's our vision as a human race, to reach 100 billion people on this planet, to live comfortably, not crowding out each other's space, I'm talking comfortably, in harmony, and at peace with one another. We're living the ultimate representation of humanity representing itself as an advanced civilization on this planet. Because we will be developing space technologies that will take us out further into the universe. Yeah, just like Star Wars, even better. I like Star Trek. Star Trek was a perfect representation of where we could take humanity. Next Generation, Voyager. Those are all perfect representations of where we can take our humanity. Now, whoever created those films, they did a brilliant job with that, you see. I say, booyah, you nailed it. Because that is exactly the educational system that we need to put into place. That's the vision that we need to give our children. That is the reality that we need to be perceiving every single day, striving for, to create that reality for humanity. To develop scientific principles and technological progress. To increase the product production of mankind. To develop the technologies that will sustain the increased productivity of a growing population, with sustainable systems in place that offer the humanity the best water, the best food, the best shelter, the best systems of education, the best systems of business, the very best systems, world systems. To develop world systems that work to the advantage of the whole of humanity. You see? To the whole of humanity, from here till kingdom come. We're working for the survival of humanity on this planet. And not just for the survival. Who just wants to survive? Please. That's such a negative connotation for that future reality. We want to thrive as a human species on this planet. What is our potential as a human race? These are the questions you need to ask yourself. I'm asking every American to wake up and think of the potential of the life that you can be living. It's for you. Forgive me. That's my urgency. That's the level of energy that's flowing through my body. That wants to convey a simple message of understanding to the whole of humanity, not just every American in the nation. I'm talking to every person in India. I'm talking to every person in Russia. I'm talking to every person in China. I'm talking to every person in Japan. I'm talking to every person in Australia. I'm talking to every person in Canada. I'm talking to every person in Italy, in Spain, in the UK, in the Arctic, and beyond the Arctic. I'm talking to every person on the face of this earth. We need to evolve our consciousness in order to move our humanity in a direction that experiences its highest potential. That's the direction that we take humanity. See? Now, there's not one man in the world that can do this on his own. We need to look at each other as the ant kingdom. The ants, they harmonize their activities together in one unison consciousness. Everybody knows what they're doing, and we should learn from their way of living. That when we, as a human species, begin to unite in such a way that we are developing with the purpose of developing human technology based on thriving and growing the economy to support human life on this planet at the highest standards, you see. And only the highest standards. Until we outlive those standards and move on to another higher standard. And that was the whole idea of LaRouche's approach. He understood that a certain technology would only last about 50 years before another technology could replace it. Okay? So we can't be stuck on the experience of our evolution. We have to see this thing as a staircase, a stairway to heaven. And each step represents a platform of economy, of our existence, because it has to change to that higher capacity of supporting the population. And if the population is growing at 10% a year, then we need to be developing our technology 20% in the future. Your technology has to be in place in order to support a growing population. See, we don't have that today. It's been stripped from us. And so we just need to say, okay, we don't have that technology now. Let's see if we can change some minds in high places and say, hey, let's support a new way of living on this planet. One that really truly supports the livelihood of every and consideration of every person on this planet. Every person, every child, in every space of this world, who deserves to live a life of freedom. And your freedom is knowingness. Your knowingness is your freedom. You know that you know that you know that you know. And you are in a state of knowing where you want to take your own life. And when you do that, you are in a pursuit of happiness. Because you're joyfully challenging yourself to see whether or not you can create such a reality. You have a vision, and you go, wow, I wonder if I can create that reality. Do I have the potential to do it? Am I stretching my mind wide enough to see that if the possibility is there? Is it there? And so when you put yourself into action and you move towards those experiences, well, those experiences take you to a higher level of awareness. And each level of awareness is like the principle of economy. You've got this stairway to heaven, and each step upward is in harmony with the whole of the system. Because you've got a dynamic system that we created with our minds, just like the way Nikola Tesla did it. And that's a man that we need to also honor and revere and exonerate. Absolutely. He had it right. His technology needs to be made available to all humanity. And as President of the United States of America, I declare this technology to be made available to every man, woman, and child on this planet. How's that for change? Just give me the signed documents and let's just put it into seal. Law. Now, free energy for everyone. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. With that first policy in place, we are going to be able to free ourselves to be the creators that we truly are. Now, I'm going to have to cancel this now. There's so much more that I need to say, because there's a lot more that needs to be said. So, at this point, I want to say thank you for listening. I hope you understand the urgency of what I am saying. I need your financial support in order to take things to the next level. So, that support is appreciated in advance. Thank you. I need to cut this now. Somebody coming here. I'm going to stop this. I am Bliss Scott.